What's going on, y'all? It's JD Piquel. Today on the Hard Count, is USC a playoff team in 2022? We will discuss next. Welcome into CFB with JD, the People's Channel. Everything you know, everything you love about college football happens here, happens nearly every single day. Armstrong Sims, Jet McKenzie doing the heavy lifting. You drive the show at my Twitter page, JD Piquel. Now, with all that out of the way, with all that pushed to the side, USC has been at the epicenter of every college football conversation, it seems like, since Lincoln Riley went there, since Caleb Williams transferred there. Spotlight's bright in LA, just the way it is. So we're going to talk about this. Is USC a college football playoff team in 2022? A lot to unpack here, a lot of pieces to it. But again, why are we talking about this? Well, for a number of reasons. You got a head coach who is proven he can win. He's proven he can make the playoff. Hasn't won a playoff game yet. Proven he can make the playoff. Then you have a quarterback who is arguably one of the best players, if not the best player in all of college football that is making a transition to LA. On top of that, you overhauled the transfer portal. Guys like Travis Dye, guys like Brennan Rice. I mean, the list goes on and on. You got a lot of guys at USC right now. To make matters even more interesting, you didn't necessarily do it in a subtle way, right? Day after they play Bedlam, Lincoln Riley, it feels like in the middle of the night, left for LA. Caleb Williams, after the bowl game, announced he's transferring. So a lot of pieces have been happening in a very loud way, if that makes sense. A lot of people have made this a big thing because of the way that it happened. Also, it's USC, like one of the biggest brands, not just in college football, and all of sports in general. You know USC. No matter if you know a lot about college football or you've never seen a game in your life, you likely know about USC and their football team. So with all that aside, what has to happen for USC to make the playoff? If there were to be like one sentence summary for USC to be in the playoff, what has to happen? Well, in short, the model has been proven time and time and again. The formula's been proven time and again. You have to be a one-loss or less conference champion. I think there will be enough carnage to where if they have that one loss, they'll be able to still make it in. I know the Pac-12 has mixed reviews across the board, and for good reason. So if they're undefeated, they're in without a doubt. If they have one loss, I still think they find a way in just based on how things play out in the wild college football landscape. But first things first, you got to have the schedule right. And I think USC has that. All the games on their schedule are winnable. The non-conference isn't crazy in terms of the tough games they have. They have to go to Utah. Okay, so that's going to be a tough game. Got to go on the road. Utah, an extremely physical team. We'll see how USC matches up. And then you finish the year at home against Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame. Rivalry game. Notre Dame's been solid, to say the least, the last couple of years. Gave them trouble last year in South Bend. So those are two of the biggest games that I'm looking at to say, okay, if you can get past both of these, you feel pretty good about your chances. No Oregon in the regular season. Would anticipate you play a team like Stanford or Oregon in the Pac-12 title game. But all that's to say, nothing is super concerning about the schedule as it stands right now, okay? A lot of things, like I said, to still be determined in terms of how they match up with some of these teams when they actually get the ball out and start playing. But at first glance, before you even play your spring game, you don't feel horrible about the schedule. There's nothing crazy in the non-conference, like I said, where you play some other Power 5 opponent that's going to give you a whole lot of trouble. There's no SEC team on the schedule. There's no Big 12 team on the schedule that's going to give you issues. So the schedule seems manageable. Again, those two games concern me, but overall, I think you can kind of check that box from a very, very way too early kind of perspective. Second, you need great quarterback play. Bottom line, you brought Caleb Williams to USC for a reason. You need him to show up and show out. I also think this is a box you can relatively check. Now, there's a couple assumptions behind this. You need Caleb Williams to take the next step. Because if you get Caleb Williams from a year ago and you just copy-paste the same guy out there, you're not going to make the playoff. You're probably going to be a 2-3 loss team. This is under the assumption that he grows in this system. Again, same coach, so it's same system. Year two, essentially just in a different place for him under the same kind of setting, if you will. So I think you can expect him to take the next step. I think there's enough maturity about this kid in the sense that he wants to be an NFL draft pick. He knows that this is his ticket. This is the way that he's going to get there, is playing in a Lincoln Riley kind of offense. one of the big reasons why he went to USC, to stay under Lincoln Riley. So I feel confident saying he will mature, but if he doesn't, if he decides to continue to press, and we see the Caleb Williams from the game against Kansas in the first half, or the game against Baylor, or game against Oklahoma State, if we see that Caleb Williams rear his head a couple of times this season at USC, you're going to get some losses that you shouldn't have based on your roster. So if Caleb Williams, like I said, just to put it in summary, in bold print, takes the next step, you can check this box. Stays the same, we're having another conversation. So those two, again, schedule, need great quarterback play from Caleb Williams. This third variable makes me the most nervous for USC, and that is you need some solid play on defense. Alex Grinch coming from Norman, his defenses are high risk, high reward. They like to play a little bit of the riverboat gambler kind of scheme. They'll bring pressure. They'll heat you up. They'll try and force turnovers. But when you do that, there's a little bit of a liability on the backside where you can allow some big plays. And we've seen that from Alex Grinch coach defenses. And so I'm not so concerned with Alex Grinch as I am with his personnel at USC. Because it's tough in year one under a new scheme to hit the ground running under this complex defense. You got to have everybody on the same page, everybody firing on all cylinders. You got some new guys that are going to be playing for the first time at USC, so some transfers that are going to get their feet wet. The spring is a big part of this. If you can get on the same page in the spring and have that translate and play over to the fall, you're going to be in good shape. I feel very confident saying USC is going to score some points on offense. The offense alone will keep them in these games. If they get into shootouts, or if for whatever reason the offense decides to sputter for a few drives, maybe they go and play a team in some colder weather and they get in trouble there. Or let's say they go to the Pac-12 championship game and they have to play a tough team like Oregon or Stanford, a team that'll be physical with them. Can the defense hold up their end of the bargain? If they can, I feel pretty good about them being able to be that one-loss Pac-12 champion, or dare I say, undefeated Pac-12 champion. So to put a bow on this thing, USC is like an IKEA chair, right? My wife and I got married, moved in, got a lot of furniture, and you have a ton of pieces when you're putting together this chair. All the pieces are great. The chair on the box looks awesome. We got it from Norman, Oklahoma. All the pieces are looking good. Everything's fitting together how it should. But there's a lot of pieces and there's a lot of instructions that have to get put together still. You empty out the box, just a bunch of wood pieces. That's all it is, pieces. Now, that chair, as a lot of you know, is going to take some time to be put together, depending on how quickly you're able to maneuver it and how well you read instructions. So for USC, got a lot of pieces. Got a lot of great pieces from Norman, Oklahoma, just like that chair. Can you put them together? Remains to be seen, and ultimately is what's going to determine if they can be a college football playoff team in 2022. The pieces are there. Got to read the instructions. That's it for us here on CFB with JD. This has been The Hard Count. We appreciate you tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter at JD Pickell. We're going to keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time.